Let's take a look at some charts on Litecoin from this week's article in Brave New Coin. So Litecoin is a Bitcoin fork. It had its most recent halving on August 7th, 2019, and it has been unable to mount any sort of long-lasting bullish trend since that halving date, which may suggest that inflation is still too high. There's still not enough buyers and too many sellers for price to do anything, despite I think it's going from 8% to 4% inflation or something around that. It hasn't really moved the needle too much. If we look at LTC's block times, they're 2.5 minutes, leading to a 4x total coin circulating supply compared to Bitcoin eventually. Over time, since 2016, block times have essentially held mostly below 2.5 minutes with a few exceptions, but that's generally been the case for every coin as you get ASICs coming online. Hash rate has a natural propensity to increase versus decrease, so this will push block times slightly lower than what the target rate would be. If you look at GitHub commits first, for Litecoin, they are not robust. They are nothing like they used to be. It's pretty much just one guy merging commits from BTC. Other than their Mimblewimble extension blocks update, which is still in the works and likely coming sooner rather than later, there isn't really too much innovation going on with LTC itself. And if we talk about the Mimblewimble extension block stuff, basically it's a way to include privacy on a sidechain. The issue is that the sidechain blocks are kind of a black box, the extension blocks. So I just worry that, if this were on Bitcoin, there'd be some nefarious things happening in these extension blocks that nobody would know about. So I'm glad Litecoin is experimenting with this. I'm glad they're doing it first before Bitcoin. I don't know if something like this will ever come to Bitcoin, but it's an interesting experiment, definitely. If we look at SegWit usage, talking about experiments, Litecoin enabled SegWit before Bitcoin, which definitely helped Bitcoin's case because once SegWit was enacted on Litecoin, the network didn't explode or anything like that. And it was a great test net with skin in the game that SegWit was okay to use for Bitcoin. You can see SegWit usage approached over 90% and then has fallen back a little bit. They released some sort of game on Litecoin, Lightbringer, I think it's called, and that's like adjusted and altered all of the on-chain metrics because it happened all at once and now is fading in activity. So we're seeing that across all of the on-chain stuff right now. Here's transactions, and you'll see what I mean. Transactions spiked almost to all-time highs and are now basically back approaching the previous range. So this wasn't like a lasting thing. It was kind of a one and done situation. I haven't checked it out or looked more into it, but this looks like an airdrop type of on-chain activity versus sustainable continuous on-chain activity. So definitely less bullish than if this were to be a sustained thing. We'll see next weeks and months what happens, but thus far it looks like the excitement is over. Average transaction sizes haven't really changed too much. They did drop quite a bit during that Lightbringer spike, which is common. You'll see transactions spike and average transaction values decline significantly. Typical. We also saw a spike in the unconfirmed transactions for LTC, something we hadn't seen since late 2017, early 2018, when LTC was basically being used as a Bitcoin spillway for transactions. So all of that is now declining as well. It's interesting that these haven't been cleared quicker. There have definitely been continuous spikes in unconfirmed transactions here. If we look at the average block size versus fees, block size is increasing, but it's still almost next to nothing compared to any other network. Bitcoin is above 1 megabyte average block size. LTC is 0.06 megabytes in block size. So most of it isn't being used for anything really, which is good to see something like Lightbringer or any app, DApp, whatever, come to a coin that doesn't have any issues with available space. Transaction fees still quite low. Very low for a proof of work coin when you compare it to all the others. NVT, inverse metric of economic utility versus market cap, and active addresses here. In the fill, active addresses perked up a little bit over the past few weeks, kind of to multi-year highs, and effectively an all-time high excluding that 2017-2018 spike. So activity's still way up, even though it doesn't look like it's, it doesn't look like it's much, but the reality is activity's way up relative to where it was historically. NVT, anytime I see NVT that looks like this, where it's just all over the place, I don't really value it highly or pay too much attention to it. There is this rising trend in NVT over the past 6 years, but overall, I don't think these peaks and troughs really have any meaning and correlate to much of anything. Here's MVRV, another one of these not inverse, but market cap versus realized cap, or how much coins are moving on chain. Anytime the market cap gets bigger than what's actually being moved on chain, so this is 2.5x or 3x. Anytime the market cap is 3x what's actually being moved on chain, price has pulled back significantly, and this is correlated to all-time highs in price. So we're currently kind of halfway between oversold and overbought territory here. So plenty of room for upside. No real buying or warning signals being sent here. Just something interesting to watch over the next couple of years if LTC makes a run at higher highs relative to where it's been since 2018, 2019. Looking at hash rate and difficulty, it's a script coin, like I said. It's merge mined with Dogecoin. Overall hash rate's been way down since the halving and hasn't really recovered. I mean, it's tried to recover a few times, but really nothing too special here. I don't see any new ASICs coming either, which would affect hash rate. If there were new ASICs in 2020 or 2021, you'd see hash rate spiking because typically those ASICs are used on the network before they're actually released. So we're not seeing any of that now. And you can see these are still in nice profitability, despite being 3 years old here. If any of these still exist, because miners do have a shelf life, have a usability life. I don't know if any of these still exist, but they might. I'm sure some of them do. And it's not a big profit, but it's still not zero. It's not negative. So ASICs, the health of them looks okay. Mining profitability looks okay here. Looking at Google Trends, just flatlined over the past few years. No surprise there. Litecoin's very much a vanilla milk toast. Not much happening. There are certainly people in the community of Litecoin who are very excited about it and think it's the silver to Bitcoin's gold, but I think most people are focused on other shinier things like yield farming and DeFi and things with dApps and that sort of thing, proof of stake coins. Google Trends over the past 2 years, though, spiked up a little bit recently, but again, like when you zoom way out, it's nothing. Let's look at technicals here. We have Bitfinex long shorts at the top, VPVR, RSI, 50 and 200 EMA here. So we did get a bullish EMA cross a few weeks ago. That's led to a nice rise in price, as it has for virtually everything on USD pairs. Got a new multi-month high here. We're above a yearly pivot. We're above all this VPVR volume. So right now it's kind of sitting in this sub 100 range. Anything above 100, historically, there really hasn't been much volume. Maybe 120 is the next resistance at this yearly pivot, at this VPVR, at this local high here from 2019. But trend-wise, this looks good. Path of least resistance looks like it's up. No bull or bear div on RSI here, and longs are growing slightly. Shorts basically flat on Bitfinex. Nothing too crazy here. I think I said in the article, longs are 87% of open interest here. So definitely bullish. Doesn't look too exciting as far as entries are concerned. I am concerned about this potential M double top. If this happens, it'll happen across everything. It'll happen on BTC. It'll happen on ETH. It'll happen on any of the major coins. And that should lead to further downside. M for murder, as they say. Cloud-wise, this is still bullish. It bounced on the Kijun on the daily, which is what you want to see. You want to see a strong move and then a mean reversion bounce to higher highs. Haven't gotten higher highs yet. Still looks okay though, trend-wise. Until it's below the cloud, that's when you're concerned for upside, further upside. But if this can bounce again on the red line here, then it should be good to go. And lastly, looking at LTC, BTC, just nothing but down. Multi-week bull trend here though. Getting lower lows on less momentum. You're getting a falling wedge that's getting tighter and tighter and tighter. You're getting nastier looking mean reversion targets to the upside. We're talking like 008, 009 as far as where this probably wants to go when up is the way. Right now up is not the way. It's just grinding lows here. And historically, when LTC decides up is the way, it's very swift. Happens within a couple of weeks. So it's definitely worth watching and alerting this for higher highs. If this makes a higher high, then there's a pretty good shot that it is ready for just a massive mean reversion. So overall, nothing too exciting for LTC. Trend-wise still looks okay. It's kind of following the rest of the market. Hasn't really done much since its halving, which is a bit concerning. Supply-demand related price action is what most of this stuff lives off of. So to see supply decreasing, but demand not looking like it's equal or greater than previously, it's definitely concerning. But if it follows the rest of the market, hey, who am I to judge? And LTC, BTC, definitely watch this for higher highs in the coming weeks.